Are we really living in a dream? Why is quantum physics now proving that life out there doesn't really exist? This is not fiction. Physics at the quantum level does some pretty amazing things, such as the double slit experiment, where electrons are in two places at once. However, when an observer is introduced to look at where the electrons actually are, they collapse into a point. So there appears to be infinite possibilities. So we must recognize from this scientific experiment that our perception plays an important part in what we see out in the world. And this video will explore the themes and ideas of the remake of a Spanish film, the remake being entitled Vanilla Sky, made in 2001. In the very first scene, David has a feeling that things are not quite right. He is aware that he may be dreaming, but he's not really sure. Just as we are all not sure, we don't know if we're in a dream until we wake up. The question is the dream running us, or are we running the dream? In Vanilla Sky, there is a pivotal scene where David is confronted by a strange man in a bar. He tells David that he can take control of any area of his life simply by exercising his mind's will. However, David does not believe him because his life is in such chaos. It seems like a ridiculous thing to be told when everything that he has ever wanted in his life is in complete disarray. And yet this man is telling him that he can indeed control all of it. All of us feel this way from time to time. We all know really where we want our lives to go, but either we are afraid to make it work in that way, or we don't believe in ourselves, and so we continually put up with mediocrity. We easily forget that our life is there to be lived the way that we want to live it. However, in the film, David realizes in an instant that maybe everything around him is just a reflection of his thoughts.
What if I were to tell you that you can take control of all of this, everything?
What I'd love for them to do is shut the fuck up, especially you.
And that his will, along with his conviction, can show that he is capable of seeing what he wants in his life, and that the world is listening to his every wish. However, his life has become a nightmare. He made mistakes and consequently started to believe that life cannot be perfect for him, and he's just waiting to be told that it's all just a cruel joke and his real life is one of pain and misery. This is a trap that many of us get into. We get hurt, we lose faith, and we fear success again in the future. We somehow decide that we are not worth it. If we get close or somehow find beauty in our lives, we fear it will just leave us again. And so we constantly deny that happiness is possible. But the fact remains that reality is not set until we decide through our beliefs, through our conditioning, what we say is so. In the film, David is hideously deformed when he just makes a simple error of judgment, and in the aftermath of his car accident, the early days after, he still dreams of Sophia. He's still not able to comprehend how this wonderful dream that was his life is taken from him. Yet he knows that when he gets her, that it is somehow too good to be true. This is reflective of the mindset of many people today. We think we are just dreaming when we feel our wants and aspirations coming true in our lives. If things are going really well, we feel like we need to pinch ourselves in case it really is a dream. But the real truth is that what is absent is our trust and belief that good things can happen to us easily. Instead of waking up to what we think is reality, instead of waking up to our own true power, we buy into a societal mindset of mediocrity. I'm just poor me. I couldn't find what I want. Our lives can spiral out of control, and we sit back and think, how could this be my life? I didn't sign up for this. David gets to such a point that he believes his dream is a nightmare because he didn't listen to the advice of his tech support. He needed to exercise control over his thoughts and to not get caught up in all the drama of his life and allow it to get to such a point that he's overwhelmed. He has forgotten what he came to do. He's forgotten that he does have help. He's forgotten who tech support is. And could this really be the same for us? Could it be that we have just forgotten that life is really whatever we just wish for ourselves? If we focus on fear, we lose all that we want. David loses his confidence and belief when his face is deformed, and consequently, he loses the love he had with Sophia, and she turns frosty towards him. She originally fell in love with his charisma and confidence, but with his insecurities and fear, she falls away and leaves him to wallow in his own pity. And pity never saves anyone. In order to truly change, everyone must drop all of their self-loathing, no matter what the problems in their lives are. And sometimes we need to be reminded that life truly is a dream for us to write. And sometimes it takes something big for us to wake up. For David, it takes total chaos for him to finally conclude that he has created the nightmare and that he wants to have help. And when we ask for help, we usually get it. But without recognizing that we are in control and responsible for our lives, then no help can be given. When he reaches the point where he has no more faith in the system, he screams out, "Tech support!" And obviously, to his amazement, he receives an instant answer to his question. Now, in real life, it is not always so obvious, but whenever we ask for help truly from our heart, we always get an answer. We just have to be on the lookout for where the answer is coming from. He realizes what actually happened in the past and what he's there to do. After dropping all of that, he reaches his moment of choice.
I want to live a real life. I don't want to dream any longer.
David chooses a real life where he is in control. He doesn't want to dream anymore. He wants to know what he's doing. And he gets the chance to say goodbye to his love. And this is symbolic of the afterlife, or heaven, or whatever philosophy you believe in. And we see that without all the circumstances and contracts of life, he's able to meet her, and they share a moment of pure love where time really does stand still. They are eternally in love together, but without any attachment. It's almost like the only reality that is true is the feeling that they share together. And all the external things, such as the scars in his face, the circumstances in his life, just melt away because they're not real. They're just a reflection of our ways of thinking. But that true love that he feels and shares with her is completely real and will exist even after the life is finished. And they know that whatever they choose to experience in the future, whatever paths they take, they will always love each other.
see you in another life, when we are both cats.
And he recognizes at this point that he made some mistakes, but it is okay. He'll see her again. He can create whatever he wants in the future. And she treats him as though she knows that it was all just a big game, and he no longer needs to carry the scars of guilt. He knows now that he can start fresh and live again. This touches on the idea of spirit and reincarnation, where we are here to learn. We make mistakes and we can come back and live again. So in this way, life is like a dream. We are all asleep and we will die and we will live again, just as swiftly as waking from a dream and sleeping again each night. Finally, at the end, he jumps off the tallest building, representing his greatest fear. And why is this? For many of us, death is our greatest fear, because we don't know what death really is. And as a society, we don't really talk about death. We don't really know what happens, and there's a lot of fear surrounding this. It is the most difficult step that many people have to take. And ironically, this fear of death is often what's held us back in our lives as we live. And those who have died and come back from near-death experiences have all said they no longer fear death. And consequently, they no longer fear living their lives either. Our lives require us to be unafraid and willing to take the most fearful step in our lives, to live for our dreams. Life is always waiting for us to make that choice. But life is waiting for us to make more than just a mental choice. Life is waiting for us to make a physical choice. And when we take the step of facing our greatest fear and still acting, this is a very powerful message to the universe, or God, or whatever you want to call it, that we want this particular thing in our life. And when we do this, we get the answer immediately. And this is the way life needs to be lived if we want to live a joyous experience. Total conviction in what we want and being willing to die for what we want. Not necessarily that we have to die, but that we are not afraid to die, because what we want is so important. It doesn't matter if we die or not, as long as we are going after what we want. And this scene in the final part of the film of him jumping off the building is very symbolic of him facing his fears, because he wants to live a real life where he is in control. And without him taking the physical plunge off the building, then he's not really committed. No excuses, no waiting, just pure conviction. He is saying to the world, I am willing to face my fears and say what I want. And the universe listens to this. It is waiting to give us our dreams. When we commit, it happens.